I just finished block printing this t-shirt and I'm going to show you how I did it. I like to create my designs on the computer using Illustrator or Inkscape. You could also use Photoshop or the GIMP or a variety of other programs. Once I have my design how I like it, I print a mirror image. That's important because whatever gets carved in the block will get printed as a mirror image. This is particularly important if you have any text in your design. I like to trim down my print out so that there's a little less paper to deal with. The next step is to transfer the design onto a block. There's a variety of different block materials out there. Your local art store should carry a wide selection, or you can also find them online. I like this Blick Ready Cut because it's two-toned. There's a gray and a white layer, and as you carve away the gray layer, you'll expose the white layer, and then you know you've carved deep enough to make a good print. You can even use a standard pink eraser if you're making a small print. I would avoid linoleum if you're printing onto fabric though. There's a number of ways to transfer your image onto the block. I like using transfer paper, which is like carbon paper but with graphite. It's a little less messy too. And I'll cut a piece of that, I'll put it graphite side down onto the block, put my design on top of that, and then trace my design with a ballpoint pen. Once the image has been transferred onto the block, I like to take a ballpoint pen and go over the lines again just to make them nice and crisp. You don't even have to print out a design. You could just freehand draw one directly onto the block. Or if you're really ambitious, you could just start carving without first drawing on the block at all. You can carve the block with just an exacto knife, but it's a lot easier if you use a carving tool. The one I have came with a bunch of different tips of various shapes and sizes. If you play around a little bit, it's not too hard to figure out what each one does. Then it's just a matter of carving out your design. I like to start by outlining my design first and then going back and clearing out the big empty spaces later. I'd recommend practicing a little bit before you actually work on a real design, just so you kind of get the hang of it, but it doesn't take long. Once I'm done carving, I like to trim the block just to remove the excess around the edges. Before printing, you should wash and dry your t-shirt or whatever you're printing according to the directions on the garment, but you shouldn't use fabric softener or a dryer sheet because those things can inhibit the fabric from taking up the ink. For the actual printing, you need a couple supplies. First, you'll need some sort of ink. Lately, I've been using Speedball fabric and paper block printing ink, which is permanent once cured and is water soluble for easy cleanup. I've used screen printing ink before and it works, but the viscosity isn't quite the same, and block printing ink just seems to work a little better. You'll also need a brayer to transfer ink to your block. A hard rubber brayer works well for printing fabric. And then you'll need a couple pieces of cardboard or something similar. I like to use cardboard from cereal boxes. Okay, to ink the block, first squeeze out a line of ink onto a piece of cardboard and roll the brayer back and forth until the ink is spread evenly on the brayer. The ink will start to form peaks and will sound tacky, almost like Velcro being pulled apart. Then roll the loaded brayer across the block, making several passes in a couple different directions until the whole design is inked evenly. I like to make a test print on a piece of paper first, just to check my design and to make sure I carved the block enough. You can use your hands to apply pressure to the block, or you can use another brayer, but I've found that a rolling pin works well too. Then just peel the block away to reveal your print. Printing on a t-shirt is the same process, but I like to put another piece of cereal box cardboard inside the shirt to prevent ink from bleeding through and to provide a nice flat hard surface. Just re-ink the brayer. Transfer the ink to your block. Position the block on the shirt. Apply some pressure. Remove the block, and you're done. This particular ink dries overnight and can be washed in 4 to 7 days, but that varies among ink, so check your directions. I hope you liked the video or found it helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. You can also subscribe to keep up to date with my newest videos. Thanks for watching.